Hello everyone, today I'll be going through the Math Methods Unit 1 and 2 mini quiz for week 5. So all of this quiz here is just differentiation questions. So yeah, let's go through it. So the first question, we can rewrite it as x to the power of a half and -2 times x to the power of negative a half. And by following the differentiating rule, right, we can just move the power to the front and reduce the x power by 1. And if we do that for both terms here, that will be our derivative. And the second question here, don't let the A, B, and C and D there fool you. You can just treat them as normal numbers. So it's literally the same logic. We move the power to the front and reduce the power by 1. And as we can see here, dy dx is just equal to that. The next question, we can separate the fractions. So 2x minus 1 on x squared, we can write that as 2 on x minus 1 on x squared, which is the same as 2 on x to the power of -1 minus x to the power of -2. And the same logic applies. We move the power to the front and reduce the power by 1, and we will get this as our answer. Next, for question 2, it's a bit more complicated. So I've kind of wrote down the rule we need to use. So the first one, we need to use product rule. To use the product rule, we have to keep one. So we have to divide the thing we need to differentiate into 2 parts. The first part we keep constant, in this case x squared, and we derive the second part, which becomes cosine of x, and plus the opposite of what we did before. So we keep sine x constant, and we differentiate to x squared into 2x. So that's the answer for the first one. The second one here needs chain rule, and we kind of basically, we would to do this, we can just take the derivative of the inside part, which is 2, which is here, and then we have to move the normal half to the front. So it's a half times 2 times this function with power reduced by 1. So a half minus 1 is negative a half. So with all these things times together, we get this as our final answer for the derivative. The final one here is, I guess, more complicated. It's more of a double chain rule, but I kind of combined 2 of the chain rule into like 1. So to do this, first of all, we're taking the derivative of the inside function, which is 2x, as we can see here, the 2x is here. Then we are also taking the derivative, I guess, as the middle layer function, which is the square root of x squared minus 4. And that we have to remember, we have to move the power to the front. So a half, which is shown through this divided by 2 here. Then we reduce the power by 1. So a half minus 1 is negative a half, which is shown by this term here. And then we just take the derivative of the outer function. So cosine of something becomes negative sine of something. Then we just times everything together, we'll get negative x on square root of x squared minus 4 times sine of square root of x squared minus 4 as our final answer. And of course, you can move the sine of square root of x squared minus 4 onto this fraction as well. That's up to you guys. Okay, so for the third question, it is a product rule and a chain rule combined, basically. So for product rule, first of all, we are keeping the first term constant, and now we're deriving the second term, which in this case is a chain rule. So we take the derivative of the top part function here, which is 3. So it's just 3 times that function, because e derived by anything is just itself, basically. So that's the first part of the product rule. And the second part is we just do the opposite. We take the derivative of the first part here, keep the second part constant, and we get that. And then we, I guess, expand it out, simplify, and we will get this as our final answer. So if there's any questions regarding this worksheet, please let me know. Other than that, I'll see you guys all next week.